Got it. Okay, so it's very nice to be here to kick off this SEND week. Very, very lucky to be one of the first ones to present. So yeah, my name is Eva, originally from Poland, hence the odd name. And I work at Cosmo by Felicia. My position is community engagement, and my background goes way back working in education in various settings. So I'll tell you a little bit more about myself. Cosmos are the shiny buttons that you can see here, and we will focus on them today. So yeah, so we've got the housekeeping rules. As Sarah mentioned, feel free to pop your questions in the chat or just unmute yourselves as we go and ask out loud. It would be great to see you, but that's totally up to you. This will be an interactive session as much as we can. We will be using Jamboard, to which I've shared the link in the chat. So, so if you could open the link, and we will be using it throughout the session today. In case you cannot open the link, let me know. But it should be, if you just click the link, you should be able to open it and edit it. Bryony says that she cannot see anything in the chat.
I will type it in again. Can you see that, Bryony? Great.
Cool. That sounds good. Okay, so if you could just put in the chat a little bit about yourself. So what do you do? What's your main domain and area of interest? A little bit about the students that you work with and what you would like to take away from today's session. That would be great. Just a couple of words. Just to get to know each other a little bit better and for me to have a little bit of background of who you are. That would be amazing. So I'm just going to move to this one. So yes, a little bit more about me. I'm the community lead here at Cosmo, SEND practitioner. I work with young autistic people at a charity called Ignite Hubs, where we teach programming in small online groups. Before that, I worked in an SEN school as a senior TA and STEM lead. And before that, I worked as a private tutor with kids on the spectrum. I'm really passionate about using technology to foster inclusive play and social interaction. And that very much stems from my personal experience with Down syndrome and autism. So you can see in the picture at the very bottom, I hope you can see that. Me as the reindeer, my brother with Down syndrome, who is 34 now, and my older sister as well. Yeah, my brother has Down syndrome, and he's on the spectrum as well, although he's never been diagnosed with autism. And yeah, we've got Bryony here, who is a class music teacher in schools early years groups, SEND. Music group, hopefully starting another one soon. Cool. And Anne is a manager at Kingston Music Service, primary mainstream practitioner, still teaches some whole class sessions. My role is to liaise with SEND schools, and we're not doing anything close enough to be leading on SEN, and definitely at the start of our journey to making our service equitable and inclusive. Here to listen and learn. Okay, awesome. That sounds really good. So I hope that from today's session, you'll be able to take a few key outcomes, which are at the core of what we do at Cosmo. So the first one being how the music activities at Cosmo can increase engagement and learning, foster communication, and improve emotional regulation of children with special needs, children and young people with special needs. How Cosmo Games and activities can promote inclusive play and help kids play together and communicate better, and how Cosmo lesson plans, which we will look into today, can save teachers and practitioners preparation time. So we will do around half an hour of working together, then we'll do 5-minute break, and then another half an hour. Questions on the way. We'll be using Jamboard. In case you cannot open it, let me know. So what I would like to do first, as sort of to set the context for today, I'd like to talk a little bit about like what your perfect lesson would look like, or a perfect activity with children and young people would look like. And I know a perfect activity or a perfect lesson doesn't exist. But if you can imagine a perfect activity where there's no budget, or there's a budget of, I don't know, £1,000 for one lesson, what could you do? And then based on that, I'll tell you a little bit more about Cosmo, and we'll see with the lesson plans how perhaps we can create something fun and something close to your ideal image of a great activity. So what I would like to do, if we go to the next one, if you imagine a great activity, a great lesson, or a session in an after-school club, a music lesson, anything else, if you can think of how do you feel in this particular moment. So whether you feel relaxed or excited or rested, and then what would you, okay, we've got from Bryony, just try twice to open Jamboard, but it says access denied, no email coming through either. Okay, no worries. Let me try. Right. That was my mistake, but that should work for you now. So if you just try again and let me know. Working now. Okay, sorry, it was my wrong access permission. Okay, so if you can think of your answers to these questions. So perfect lesson. So how do you feel? And then what are you learning about, or what you're doing with your students, what resources you're using? So whether you use switches, laptops, brand new MacBooks, or anything else, no budget whatsoever, how do your students feel? What they can hear or see, what's the environment like, and what they are saying and expressing. So the way you can do it, if you click on this left-hand side here, you'll be able to see a sticky note. So if I click on a sticky note, I'll be able to say, how do I feel? Well, I feel relaxed. And this sets me off to quite a good lesson or activity. So you can do that. So you can do the same. So you can click on this sticky note here and just type your response to any of the question. And then just put sticky notes under the question. So if we can spend like maybe 2-3 minutes on this, and then we'll move on. So this short activity is just sort of like, we can think of it as an icebreaker, just to sort of think of, you know, what we like in the lessons, what we want our students to see, how we want them to feel. Just requested edit access. Oh, okay, right. Let me just stop sharing my screen. Okay. Mm-hmm. You should be able to have the permission to access, and then Sarah as well. I'm doing it now. Mm-hmm. So let me share my screen again. So to the sticky note, there's this icon here on the left. This one. So sticky notes. And then if you click on it, you will be able to see a pop-up. And you can type anything in the pop-up. So if I want to see what resources I'm using, for example, to answer this question, I'll say that I'm using a coding robot. And then just tap save. And then I'll drag the sticky notes anywhere I want on the screen. Mine is.
Just interrupt a moment, Eva, just to say that if you refresh the page, the icons down the left should appear just to Anne and Bryony. Let us know if that's not the case.
Thanks, Sarah. Awesome. A bit confused by technology. That's absolutely fine. Technologies are supposed to be easy so that you don't even have to think of how to use them. And hopefully Cosmo is like that, which I hope you'll be able to see in a couple of minutes. And what can students hear or see? They are immersed in their experience, either independent or collaborative learning. Really cool. Okay. That is really cool. Thank you very much. So hopefully that will give us a little bit of context of what we're gonna talk about next. So I'm just gonna stop sharing my screen. If there's anything else you wanna put in there, then feel free to do so. And what I would like to do now is to show you a quick video about Cosmo. And hopefully we'll be able to take some of the bits of how you would imagine students feeling and you feeling in your perfect lesson. And we'll be able to build up on that. So just bear with me for a quick second. Okay, so you'll be able to see the video, which shows some of the main Cosmo Games and activities, and I'll just pause from time to time to give you a little bit of more context on those. Okay, so as you can see, the way you interact with Cosmo, so those interactive buttons here, as you press them and they cause some reaction. So there are two main parts that Cosmo consists of. The first one are the interactive buttons, and then the second one is an iPad app, which Sarah was emailing you about. And the app has a lot of different games and activities that supports the development of a variety of cognitive, physical and social skills. So we'll have some music games, some sports games, some memory games, storytelling, voice recording games that aim to support inclusive play with students, individual group activities, and building a lot of different skills. The buttons themselves are very, very, very durable. They are very nice. This is more or less their size. They are very robust, so even if they get dropped on the floor, they are quite unlikely to break. They are Bluetooth buttons, so there are no wires needed apart from charging. And the buttons connect to any system that operates on Bluetooth. So our games and activities, they are only available for iPads, but you can use Cosmo to navigate through third-party apps and devices. So you'll be able to use them as accessibility switches to navigate through YouTube, for example, or use with augmentative alternative communication apps, or with some online games. So the first activity here that you can see, and maybe just one more mention about Cosmo. Cosmo was initially designed as an accessible musical instrument by our founder, who has background in music technology. But then after speaking with teachers, therapists, and families, and working with students, he realized that there were so many other areas that Cosmo could be used in. And that's how it evolved to support a lot of different areas of SEN education, but also mainstream, nursery, EYFS, different therapy settings, but also purely as a fun playing tool to bring kids together. And in this first activity, improvisation, what you can do with the buttons is that you can press the buttons to play individual musical notes, either independently or on top of a backing track. So you can customize each of the buttons to play different musical notes. And then you can press the buttons to experiment, or you can put a backing track from Spotify, iTunes, and Apple Music, and you can play the tunes on top of a music track.
Ένα, δύο. Θυμάσαι ποια ήτανε? Για να σε δω.
Memory game, as the name suggests, gives you something to remember, something to memorize. In this case, it's a pattern of lights. Then you need to memorize, and then when the lights go off, you need to press the buttons in the same exact order. You start the game with some easy sequences of one light. So your task is just to press the one button that lit up. And then as the game goes on, you progress to more complex patterns of 2, 3, 4, 5 lights, and so on and so forth. Different difficulty levels as well. And we have seen with this activity that, well, students can start playing alone and consider that as an individual activity. Once the pattern gets more difficult, they tend to team up with their peers and try and problem solve together, so that inclusive play and communication come in quite naturally in a lot of different activities. You cannot actually see the iPad screen because around 80% of the activities that they can be played without having to look at the screen. The app is just sort of like a hub for setting up the game, and then you can put the iPad away and students just interact with the buttons and themselves, because we don't want them to concentrate too much on the screen instead of playing with each other.
But where was Giant?
Where's the giant?
Okay, can you press now?
Where was the giant?
Storytelling is a very fun storytelling activity where you can read through stories and then press the buttons to hear sounds that appear in each story. So if you have a story about, for example, going into the city, different buttons will light up in different order, indicating whose student it is turn to press the button. So one student A will press the button and everyone will be able to hear sounds of cars moving, for example. Then another student will press the button that lights up and they'll be able to hear some sounds of people talking, for example, and then so on and so forth. Different sounds for different story, but it creates a very immersive and interactive experience for everyone. So you can practice attention, you can practice waiting, taking turns, and some other skills.
Find orange.
Orange.
Ready, steady, red. Yeah.
Color matching is all about communication. In this activity, your task is to identify two Cosmo buttons that light up in the same color and press them at the same time together with your partner. So this activity is all about maintaining eye contact and communicating, counting down, for example, 3, 2, 1, let's press. So you can incorporate different skills in this apparently easy activity.
Hey, give me 5. Yeah.
Orchestration is a very, very fun and team building musical activity. So you could see improvisation, which was a little bit more advanced. Orchestration is more about improvisation. It's a little bit easier. In this activity, you have a lot of different music tracks to choose from. And then as you press the buttons, you will toggle on different musical instruments and toggle them off. So when you press the button, and I'll be showing you this activity today, when you press the button and it lights up, you toggle the instrument on. And then when you press it again, then you toggle the instrument off. So you can improvise, you can create a full orchestra, you can practice recognizing particular musical instruments, and you can use it for inclusive play. So as you can see in this scenario here, the boy in the bottom right corner, he's being the musical conductor, and he's indicating to his peers which instruments to toggle on and off. So he's practicing his leadership skills, but then everyone else is practicing taking turns, waiting skills, spatial awareness. So it's a very nice, inclusive and interactive activity as well. Turn taking is all about increasing attention span. In this activity, you can hear a music track playing, and then the music track pauses and a button lights up, indicating that you need to press the button to keep the music going. So basically, the faster you are, the more uninterrupted the music track will be. Tap Dash is one of the screen-based video games that we've got in our app, where your task is to match the color of the block, the long block that's at the bottom of the screen, with the block that's falling down. And similarly to the memory game, here it gets progressively faster and more difficult as you go. So then again, it can be an individual activity, but then it's very fun if you team up because you're able to collect more points. Showdown is a lot of fun. It's quite a competitive game, which you play in 2 teams from 2 to 6 players. Both of the teams have assigned a different color. So let's say you've got a blue team and you've got a yellow team. The task of each team is to press as many buttons of their respective assigned color as possible within some specified time. So you can have from 1 to 5 minutes, and you run around and collect points together. Or you can have the buttons on the table as well. As you could see in the previous video, you can mount the Cosmoids to the wall as well. Each of the buttons has a magnet inbuilt in the device, so you can mount them on the wall with magnets, but you can also mount them with M5 screws and Velcro tape to mounting plates or a blackboard, which is quite a useful thing as it makes the light stand out more at the black background, but also for students with limited physical mobility. You can either mount the Cosmoids to a mounting plate, or you can mount them to wheelchairs, or even to the tall wheelchairs on both sides of the head. My Voice is an activity that aims to support speech and language development and vocalization with the strong element of fun. In this activity, you can record a word or a short phrase up to 7 seconds with the iPad speaker, and then as you press the buttons, you play this words back with an overlay of funky voice effects. So you'll be able to hear sounds of chipmunk or robots or some ghostly voices, which was our theme for Halloween. So, so it's a very fun activity that aims to encourage kids and young people to speak out loud and build their speech and language. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Sorry, there's automatic light in my room, so I have to get up to put it back on. There it is. We can cut it out from the recording. Okay, let me go back to the Jamboards. Cosmo aims to incorporate that element of music in all the games and activities in the Cosmo training app and provide embedded opportunities for kids to engage together meaningfully, to boost social skills, to have to communicate and problem solve together. Even in the activities that might not have been designed specifically for that, but a lot of them just require everyone to communicate and to problem solve together. Yeah, just a couple of pictures here from our users and some examples of organizations and schools that have been using Cosmo for So, for example, Charlton Park Academy and CENMAC has used Cosmo for many years. They use Cosmo for encouraging and fostering engagement in learning and communication. Then Corbett's Tay and Upminster, they use Cosmo primarily for training attention and ownership and leadership skills. And then other schools use it for creating individualized learning experience, long-term movement, teamwork, supporting transitions in school environments, using music to encourage participation, which is the Artist Institute. So it's an institute of art in the Netherlands, and they use Cosmo for neurological music therapy. And I can send you some more resources for that if you're interested afterwards today. And then Digit Music, I can send you one video as well, who perform with orchestras live, Enable Orchestra. And they use Cosmo to enable people with limited mobility to take part in live music performances. And what I would like to do now, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen again. And I will move to show you the Cosmo app. So hopefully you'll be able to see it a little bit more interactively, how it works. And then if we have any questions while I'm setting up, please feel free to either put them in the chat or speak out loud. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
I can see it, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so what I would like to show you right now is the orchestration activity, which you were able to see in the video, which was the one where students were sitting all together and playing musical instruments. So as you can see here, you can choose among a lot of different music tracks. So you can have some Alliance, classical music, guitar music, jazz, salsa, some folky, funky beats. And then once I've chosen the music track, I just click save and I click play. So hopefully you're able to see the Cosmo buttons right now, which are white. But when I press the buttons, I know there is a little bit of delay, but I hope you could hear the sound and you get the gist of the activity. So, so what you basically do is you just press the buttons and you are able to hear different instruments. So you can either press one by one and try and recognize with students different sounds. Excuse me, you can use some props from the environment to create some more connections. You can use your body language to show how you would play different musical instruments, or you can just encourage some improvisation and free play. Thanks, Brian. It's actually more fun if you can actually put your hands on it. Online workshop does not give it justice. Okay, so that was my orchestra. It's a very simple activity, but it gives you a lot of opportunities. So let me go back to Jamboard, just switching between a lot of different screens. So what I would like to do now is, I hope the main dynamics of Cosmoids and my orchestra is clear to you, but please feel free to ask any questions. And I would like you to think of an idea for a lesson. It doesn't have to be a fully structured lesson or an activity with this particular game. So imagine what your students would do, what they would learn, and what the environment would look like. So we're going to take a pause here and take a couple of minutes, and so feel free to get some tea or just catch a breath. And then we'll come back and we'll discuss and brainstorm some ideas. And Anne asked if you're going to be at the Music Expo. We were not planning to be, but I don't know a lot about Music Expo, so I'm happy to touch base afterwards today. Are you going to be there? And as a visitor, not as an exhibitor. Yeah. Where is it and when is it? Okay. In February. Okay, that's interesting. I'll actually make a note on that, and I'll do a little bit of research. Thank you for mentioning that. '23rd and 24th. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. Is that a big show?
It's probably quicker for me to unmute, isn't it? Yeah, it is quite a big show. It's a shame in a sense that it's in London, because it's quite limiting for other people elsewhere in the country. It's probably better if it was held in Birmingham or somewhere. But yeah, it's a really big, I think it's a really big event, and you get people from all sorts of realms within the music and drama sphere. So people like you know, ABCD are there, smaller organisations, charities, ABRSM, bigger folk. Yamaha always have a stand. You know, you might be lucky enough to meet people like Nicola Benedetti. I did a couple of years ago. Yeah, it's always, and it's free, so that's why it's so good. Okay. Because you get like-minded people together, and there's no pressure to, you know, buy anything, or you know, yeah, it's all on your own terms.
Yeah,
it's great for networking.
Yeah, that sounds really good, actually. We might go there as visitors, but also we're based in London, so it would be quite easy for us to go there as exhibitor as well. So we'll definitely give it some thought.
I'll stick a link in the chat, so it's
awesome. That would be very helpful. Thank you.
Eva, could I just be clear? Are we starting on the break now? Because I'll pause the recording if so.
Yeah, let's take. All right. So welcome back. Hi, Anne. So we just sort of started, I started telling Bryony that I'll show you some of the lesson plans, but also some of the activities that are a good start for students for when they want to get familiar with the app and familiar with the texture of the switches, which is quite nice and it's very sensory. And activities that are basically really good to give your students a little bit of time to just explore and get familiar and feel safe with the Cosmo switches. So I think perhaps I'll do that first. So let me just stop sharing my screen. And I will go back to the app. Okay. So just to show you maybe some more tracks in my orchestra, we could try rock music. So when I press play, so that was rock. So you can, again, just play freely. If you spread the Cosmoids around in, let's say, a gym area, you can use the magnets and you can incorporate some physical movement as well. Or you can use them within sensory room environments and sensory space, which is a very popular choice for schools that use Cosmo. So let me show you some more activities. The other one that you could see in the video is improvisation, which is a little bit more advanced than my orchestra, but it's really cool as well. It's one of the first activities that we've designed for Cosmo. Here you can choose a music track as well. So you've got 4 basic music tracks here, but you can also import music from iTunes, Apple Music, and Spotify as well. So you can choose some tracks based on your students' interests. You can choose musical notes, you can choose full octaves, you can choose different bass notes and scale. I myself am not that familiar and that musical person. I do play a little bit of piano, but I'm not that experienced yet. But this activity gives you a lot of different possibilities. You can choose different musical notes here. But the coolest setting in this activity is that you can use the Cosmo switches as external controllers to play music in third-party music making apps, such as GarageBand or ThumbJam. So basically what you do is you customize all the settings within the app. So you choose the notes, you set all the settings, you press play, and then you open a GarageBand or a ThumbJam. And we've got a very nice and easy quick tutorial on YouTube for that. So I will, when it comes to that, I'll share that with you as well. But you can go beyond of what you can do in the app as well and use any music making software that operates on Bluetooth as well. And some activities to help your students get familiar with Cosmo and just explore it at their own pace. 2 more music games, which is exploration, which allows you to toggle music on and off. So you press the button the hand press. And then when you release your hand, the music stops playing, and then again. The longer you keep your hand pressed, the longer the music will play for. And then toggle, similar principle, you just toggle the music on and you toggle it off. Here again, you can upload your own music from these platforms, and you can choose a color of your Cosmoid as you wish by clicking on these color icons on the screen. Another activity that is really good for just free play and getting familiar with the system is Fireworks, which is one of the most popular games in Cosmo, and it's very sensory. In this activity, you press the button. And you shoot fireworks in the air. So it's very easy, very sensory, a lot of visual and auditory feedback. You get different backgrounds every time you enter the activity, and you can toggle sound on and off as well. So you can choose to have only the visual feedback. And yeah, so what I would like to do right now is to just go back to my orchestra and think of the couple of activities that I've showed you so far. And in a few minutes, I'll show you a couple more, which are more for voice recording. And just to hear a little bit from you, if you have any questions, then let me know. But just to hear a little bit from you, how do you think you could incorporate that into, you know, the environment that you work in with your students? So maybe activity title is not needed, but what these activities could be used to, what skills you could learn playing those activities, how you could conduct the activity with your students, what would be the words that you would be teaching your students.
Is this on the next slide of the Jamboard? Is that what I need to do to move on a page?
We can either use Jamboard, and we can use the sticky note. So let's say using my orchestra, we would be learning to collaborate. And I'll just put it underneath, or feel free to you know, speak out loud as well. That's
Okay.
fine.
So I'm wearing two different hats effectively this evening. Really,
Yeah.
I mean, my experiences within mainstream primary classroom, but I'm trying to think how I might try and encourage my SEND schools to think about buying a product like this.
Okay.
So you could, from what I've seen, from what you've shown us, I think perhaps it could be used for almost opposites. So if they were exploring loud and quiet, if they're exploring high and low, if they're exploring fast and slow. So I think that's where my brain is at the moment. I can add some sticky notes.
That sounds really good. Yeah. And actually, everyone who uses Cosmo has different ideas. So the more I speak with people, the more different ideas, the more diversified ideas I hear. So so what you said is really interesting. To give you an idea of like an unconventional thing that I've heard from a mom who has a son with global developmental delay. She is using one of the activities to help him get through some stressful parts of his daily routine. So for example, he hates hairbrushing. So basically what they do is they put one of the activities, it can be either fireworks, so there's different activity bubbles that I can show it to you, which is one switch game, and it's very sensory as well and very relaxing. And every touch of the button is one hairbrush. So, you know, she strokes his hair once, and then he presses the switch, and then another one, and then the switch. So it gets a little bit easier for him to bear through this parts of the routine. Speaking of routines, schools use Cosmo to help transition as well, in a sense that they can play a game and put the Cosmoids along the path, for example, from a classroom to the car, and the students play the game, and it sort of gamifies some aspects of this difficult task for them. Yeah, cool. So we've got exploring opposites, high, low, fast.
So interesting. Oh, sorry, I'm interrupting.
Yeah, go for it.
Just saying, it's so interesting to hear how different people are using it. Have you got like a list of examples of ways people have used it?
We are putting it together on our website right now. So we'll have one page which will have all the case studies and all the use cases. So this is being built right now.
Yeah, I think that would be really useful, like as you're starting out, to just say, oh yeah, you could do that, or you could do this.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. Yeah, just to give you some other ideas. So let me I'm going to stop sharing. I'm just going to go back to the app, and I think I might actually stay there. So share my screen again. There you go. Okay, so just to give you some other ideas, for example, all the same. In the activity all the same, your task is to make all the buttons the same color. So you can see that I've got 2 green buttons, I've got 2 blue buttons, I've got 1 yellow and 1 orange. So let's say a favorite color of student A is green. So let's go with green. So I already have 2 greens. Now I have 3 greens. Now I have 4 greens. So I still have 2 buttons that are different color. All the buttons are the same color, and then they switch to different colors. So you can incorporate some elements of counting and maybe doing some subtraction, but do more or less as well. Do color recognition, do physical activities. So we love promoting the use of Cosmo for encouraging children and young people to do physical activity. So as I mentioned, you could mount those with magnets to the wall. So you can play this activity and you can encourage students to run around and to collect as many points as possible within, shorter, like within 1 minute, for example, or 2 minutes. You can set different requirements. You can jump, or you can use squishy balls, as you could see in the video as well. So you can really incorporate a lot of different skills. A different activity, which is same principle, so it's very similar, but your task is to make all the Cosmoids different. So you can see that we've got 6 purple buttons. Now we have 5 purple buttons. Now we have 4 purple buttons. Now we have 3 purple buttons. And what color is missing? I think it's orange. There you go. So there are lots of different ways to play. Copy me, you could see this activity, but I'm gonna play it anyway. So let's go to intermediate. You can see the pattern of light. So we've got blue, green, and yellow. And actually it's green and yellow. So actually when I touch the wrong Cosmoid, it will not do anything. So I have to do it to press the correct one. And if you forget what the pattern was, you can replay. So I had 1, 2, and it gives you positive feedback. Well done. Then you can go to advanced level, which gives you longer patterns. While it's blue, let's go to intermediate. This one is like whack-a-mole. So you need to tap the blue button. It's up. And you can choose different difficulty levels here as well. You can choose the duration of the game, how many buttons you want to play with. So you can make it either easier or more difficult to each individual student. Exercise, just going to show you a couple more activities, and then I'll show you the lesson plans. Nice. In exercise, your task is to press the button that lights up as fast as you can, but in this game, you really dictate your own pace. So here again, either, you can have it either on the table, but also you can spread it around. You can use it as part of an obstacle course. So you put an obstacle course and you run through the obstacle course to press the button that lights up. And you can do the same with all the same. So where you have to make all the buttons the same color. We played it recently with an autistic girl who visited our office and set up a course with chairs, tables, some other equipment. And each of the Cosmites was like a pit stop throughout the obstacle course. And when she got through to the Cosmites, she had to press it as many times as it took to get that desired color. So let's say she chose purple, she had to make all the buttons purple. Storytelling, I'm going to show you because you couldn't see it you couldn't see the screen in the video. For example, Razia learns to swim. When I hit play, you can see the screen in the app. So you can project the iPad screen onto a bigger interactive screen as well, so that all the students can see the big screen. And you read through the story, and then as you go on, you can see that the blue button lit up. So when I press the blue button, so when I press the blue button, I could hear the sound, and then again, green button. And then so on and so forth. We're currently adding questions, comprehension questions. Bryony, I'm getting the idea that Cosmo is an instrument that is useful for teaching many other skills. Are there particular musical skills that you would say it is good for teaching? Good question. Let me go back to improvisation, for example. Well, this one will give you a lot of opportunities. So you can, well, the first one would be improvisation, but because you can play different instruments and you can play different musical notes, it will basically give you a similar experience to a real musical instrument. Well, not the physical experience, but in terms of recognizing musical notation and memorizing what different musical notes sound like. And you could either like put sticker on the Cosmite to mark the particular musical notation and try and recreate some musical pieces. Not sure if that answers your question, Bryony. I'm not a musician myself, just to make it clear. So probably won't be the best person to dive very deep into music theory and music in general. But I'm happy to send you some more resources and another tutorial of how you can use improvisation to make music. And I'll send you a video to a live performance by Able Orchestra where they were using Cosmo. So I hope that's helpful. Okay, so one more activity, sampler, where you can record up to 6 words or short phrases with the iPad speaker, up to 7 seconds. And then you can press the buttons to play those words back without any voice effects. So you've got 6 buttons, so you can record, for example, I want to eat and then have pasta or pizza. Or you can record a sequence of numbers or parts of a sentence and then scramble the Cosmoids around and ask students to press the button, listen to the word out loud, and then put the words in the correct order. So let me show you how to do it. I'm just going to record something. Okay. I want to eat pizza. Okay, so let's see if we can hear that. I want Actually, I didn't record the yellow one. Let me just re-record it. To eat pizza. Okay, so it was a little bit loud here, but you get the gist. So that's just recording pure words, or you can import some. Not here. Back to sampler. You can import. Why is it not appearing? Sorry for that. But you can import some sounds from your iTunes library as well. So the words get stored here as recorded, but then if you press the button again, record, you can record new words. So you can put sequences together, you can record colors, you can record number sequences, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and put it together. You can use it as a part of scavenger hunts and record some clues for students, put it around the room or the school. So those are just like few of ideas that I can think of, but it gives you a lot of scope for speech and language development and recording musical sounds as well. Bryony, I think using it as an instrument and improvisation is great. Cool. Okay, so just a few words about the activity guides and lesson plans. So here you will find a section which is called activity guides, which well, our aim here is to help teachers and practitioners save their preparation time. And this section is being constantly developed by other users and our junior product manager, who's also child psychologist. So here you will have lesson plans based on skills that you want to practice. So let's say you want to practice some music skills. So we'll go to music, and then we will have a collection of guides. So I'll go to, let's say, be a conductor. And here you will have a few sections. So what we are learning to with early learning goals and P scales, and a bit more descriptive way to talk about the skills that this activity helps the student to practice. Preparation, so how to prepare the activity. How to demonstrate the activity to your students. How to conduct the main activity. Some variations, additional tips, resources, and keywords. So in the main activity, for example, it would be a similar scenario to the one that you could see in the video. So you would have one person as being the musical conductor. And then the conductor would either be showing or would be saying, for example, let's hear the drum. So the students have to remember what instruments they were actually playing. And then variations, you could, yes, have some flashcards with musical instruments or have some props, like fluffy instruments or some real instruments from the environment, or look for some instruments on YouTube and play those sounds as well. And some additional tips, some resources, and some keywords that you would be using in this activity. So, so yes, I mentioned before that you can use it as a full activity guide, full lesson plan, and we call it activity guides because we have a lot of parents and therapists use this section as well. But you can also use it as bits and pieces and ideas for some quick activities, which is the way that parents use this section. And then if you go back to, let's say, let's practice physical training, for example, and we will have an obstacle course. And here we would have early learning goals as well, and P scales. In prep, we will have some ideas for how to set up the obstacle course, how many Cosmos you can play with, which activity to use for this game, how to demonstrate the activity, and how to conduct the main activity. So you would have the facilitator, you would encourage the learner to select the color, and they can do it one by one, and then some variations. So you can create a scoreboard for the student to keep track on a daily basis, which might encourage your students to engage a bit more often. And then, yeah, resources and keywords as well. And that's the same structure for different skills and for different activities. And I think I'd like to pause here and leave a couple of minutes for questions. I hope this was useful and clear enough. Obviously, it's a whole different experience if you can actually see it and play with it in real. But Bryony, you will have an opportunity for that. And Anne, if you're interested, and you mentioned your organization, I would like to either do a demo for them or speak about a trial as well. Just going to share my screen again.
Really exciting. Thank you. The elephant in the room is cost. Are you going to talk to us about that?
Say again?
Cost. How much does buying cost?
Sure. So there are different purchase options. It's either one-off payment or a subscription. Mm-hmm. And the difference between one-off standalone purchase and subscription is that in one-off payment, you get 18 basic activities. And you can purchase some add-on in App Store. So you can just use in-app purchases. Mm-hmm. And with subscription, you get unlimited access to all the activities, which are 30 now. And then new activities, as we release them, get automatically unlocked on your account. And you get unlimited training for stuff. So the cost for subscription for the first year is, if I remember correctly, sorry, $999, because we've just released a new pricing. And then for year 2 is half that, I believe. And then after year 2, you own the device. And for one-off purchase for 6 buttons is £800 plus VAT, unless you can do VAT exemption as an organization. And then the Cosmo is yours. There's a 30-day free return, no questions asked policy as well. So you can try it out, but if you think that it doesn't really work for your students, then you can return it. Yeah, unlimited training for stuff that's very useful in terms of employees turnover. So whenever you have newcomers to your organizations, we just do refresher trainings for them, refresher training sessions for them on Zoom. Yeah. I'm happy to send you those details in email as well, So it might be a little bit hard to visualize, but I'll send you like a comparison of the options. So hopefully it will be a little bit more clear there.
Thank you. That'd be useful.
Yeah. I've just shared the QR code here, which has links to our social media and newsletter. If you'd like to keep an eye out on what we've been up to, then feel free to scan it or just type the link, which is at the bottom, just underneath the QR code. And I think that's mostly it from my side, but I'll send you some resources following today so that if you'd like to show it to your colleagues or just get back to anything, then you will be able to do so. And I think Sarah mentioned that the recording will be uploaded onto the website as well.
Yes, that's correct.
So I've got a question, Eva, about the app. Is that, obviously we've got access to it, I put it on my iPad because we got a link. Is it the sort of thing that I can share with other people, or is it just for me? Is the app free? What's the deal with just the iPad bit?
Yeah, the app is free. So you can go to App Store and look for Cosmo Training app. And provided that you've got an iPad, you'll be able to download it and explore, but you will see the basic 18 activities. So for example, you won't see a sampler for recording the voices. But it will give you the access to the activity guides and the main activities. Yeah.
Excellent.
Would you like me to share the link to the app? But I think you've got it, yeah?
I think, yeah, I've got that from the email.
Okay, brilliant. We run 30-minute demo sessions across November and December as well. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to share the link with you. If you'd like to invite any of your colleagues, then you can share the link instead of doing the demo yourself. Might be a little bit time consuming. You can share that link with them. And I'm just going to share the link tree as well, just in case you didn't catch that in the presentation. Yeah, and if I'll get in touch with you, but if you'd like to follow up with any questions, then here's my email address. And yeah, I hope this was useful. As I said, it's a whole different experience, and it all sort of falls into one place and makes sense once you've got the buttons and you just start playing with them. It's very intuitive, very easy to set up and play. So hopefully we can set it up soon. Get those over to you.
Thank you. I'm really excited to have a go at playing with them.
Awesome.
Just for me, and then to teach with them. But
I know. Actually, the showdown activity that was in the video as well, where two teams compete against each other, pressing the Cosmite and collecting points. So like one team was blue, for example, and the other one was yellow. It's a great activity for adults, actually. It's a lot of fun. And if you go to our Instagram page, there will be loads of videos us playing showdown, even at the office. So it's a great team building activity for adults.
Brilliant, thank you.
Thanks.